Hey everybody, today we're going to do a quick recap of the Biden-Trump debate from last night. There's talks about this being it for Joe, maybe they're a little bit premature, but either way we did do a 4-hour stream last night, so thanks to everybody that showed up. So it's hard to add anything to this discussion that hasn't already been mentioned by everybody else, but right off the bat the first thing to notice was Biden's voice. It was hoarse, or however you want to put it, so he did have to deal with that, and there was one significant moment which we'll get to in a moment, but other than that Biden did have a low bar of expectations. People already think he's old. As long as he didn't come off as looking super old, he should be okay. For the most part, he did come off looking pretty old during that debate. Now, I'm not going to go through all the specifics. The format was pretty good. Cutting the microphones and not having the live studio audience, I think, worked out. It kept the debate more civil and limited the interruptions. Now, Trump was unable to feed off the energy of a crowd, but I think that was to his benefit. His disposition was pretty much what we come to expect. I do think he took the bait a few too many times from Biden. He was on the defensive a few times when I think he should have stayed on offense. Other times, I think he pivoted off the question that was asked, and I also think there was a lot of hyperbole from both sides. We constantly hear this was the greatest or the worst. I think that gets old, but I do think Trump did it a little bit more, and that's really what we would expect from Trump. A lot of stats and a lot of numbers were thrown around. There's no way the average viewer is going to be able to know what's real. A lot of it does come down to vibes, and I thought Biden was weaker in the first third to the first half, and I did miss a few minutes of it in the back half, but I do think he got a little bit better. But there's really no getting around that these guys are only a few years apart, but they look like they're about 30 years apart on the stage. You might disagree with some of the things Trump said, but he did not come off as bewildered and confused. I thought he might have called him Brandon at one point. That was a little weird. They apparently argued about golf, which was also kind of childish. But for the most part, since Biden is in office, Trump should stay on the offensive. He knows a lot of Americans are not satisfied with the way things are going in general. Too many times he got caught up talking about something from his past. I think there should have been more focus on the level of dissatisfaction out there. They both gave a couple of answers that I was a little bit confused on. Overall, I think Biden is going to connect the most when he's talking about abortion or Social Security. Trump is going to do his best talking about immigration or inflation. They did cover other topics like Ukraine, Israel, climate change. They traded a lot of personal attacks, but many times things just come down to optics, and Trump looked like he was about 60 out there. Biden looked like he was easily 90. So once this thing finally ended, my initial reaction was after Biden started off weak, he did okay, I suppose, considering where the bar was set. Trump, I think, went back to immigration too many times, and he should have stayed on point a little bit more often, but I think the lack of him coming off as so old is going to be his strength. The moderators also, I think, did an acceptable job, but then after looking at some of the fallout and reactions from pundits, it looked like Biden actually did worse than I expected. It seems like Biden lost it more than Trump won it, but Biden's voice and the perception that he's very old is the thing that is really holding him back in this debate, and it's also caused some concerns here for Democrats. Maybe they should get a different candidate in there. I think the answer to that is they did just have a primary where they could have had a field of candidates challenging Biden, but they didn't really want that, so they're kind of stuck with him. Now, could they make a last-minute change? I suppose, but if they say it's too late now, what was their excuse 4 or 5 months ago? So this is the moment in the debate toward the beginning where I thought it was the low point for Biden. So let's play it, and then we'll talk about it.
We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With
COVID.
Dealing with everything we have to do with. Look.
Oh wow.
If we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Wow.
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death.
So that's a complete meltdown. And that was toward the beginning, and I was kind of worried that could happen again and really derail the entire debate. But this was surprising. That was about 10 seconds of pure meltdown. I don't want to go on about it too much because in a sense, I actually do feel bad in that moment. Trump did not seem to go overboard on responding with it, but that was easily a bizarre moment that is not going to do Biden any favors. So after all that, what are the markets showing for this election? Well, here's the one for who will win the 2024 Democratic presidential nomination. And Biden took a hit. He's down to 65 cents. Gavin Newsom is at 23 and Kamala Harris is at 13. Prior to that debate, debate, Biden was at about 84 to 86. Now, this could just be an overreaction from the markets, and things could change over the next few days. It could easily change by the time you watch this video. But the last one is going to be for who will win the 2024 election, and Trump has gone up into the high 50s, around 60%. Biden is in the low 30s. So the market's reacting definitely in favor of Trump. I saw a snap poll from CNN after the debate. 2-1 said that Trump won the debate. Now, that was conducted by text, and there were more Republicans in that sample. But it just wasn't there for Biden. It kind of confirmed everybody's fears. And to put it mildly, he's not getting any younger. Now, does this actually change anything? I tend to think very little. There's a lot of polarization, and most voters are already locked in on who they're going to vote for. Just like after Trump's conviction, I suspected the polling would narrow up maybe by 1 to 2 points. In this situation, I think it's similar. I could see Trump gaining a 1 or 2 point advantage. Now, maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe it's way worse than that for Biden, or maybe somehow over the next week, voters are enamored with Biden's policies and he actually improves. Who really knows what to say? We also have to keep in mind that Trump's sentencing is coming up in less than a couple of weeks. We still have to also see who Trump picks as his VP. We also have the conventions coming up, and then we can look forward to some other debates, hopefully. Let's at least get through the weekend and see what happens on the first batch of polling. It's also a holiday coming up. A lot of people aren't necessarily thinking about politics. It's going to be early July. It's not super early anymore, but it's also not October. So let's see what happens. There's a lot of different factors out there, but that's a little bit about what I thought of this debate. So I'm going to leave it there and let me know in the comments. What did you think about that debate? Did you check it out? Did you watch parts of it? Was it really that bad for Biden? Do you think Trump made some mistakes? Is there any chance Biden taps out and somebody else steps in? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.